Good afternoon, everyone. I'm running a little behind today. I've had some technical difficulties. Every time I tried to make a video, it would shut down and tell me that I was over the limit of time. So we're going to try again. I want to read from Philippians chapter 2 today, starting in verse 12. It says, "Therefore, my beloved, as you've always obeyed, not only in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For God is the one working in you, both to will and to do his good pleasure. Do all things without murmuring and disputing, that you may be blameless and harmless sons of God, without fault, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, in which you shine as lights in the world. Hold forth the word of life, that I may rejoice on the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain or labored in vain. Yes, and even if I am offered upon the sacrifice and service of faith, I take delight and rejoice with you all. For this reason, you also take delight and rejoice with me." Now, I want you to notice it said to do all things without murmuring. It is really easy in life to whine and complain, to see the negative and the bad of everything. But God tells us that we're supposed to think on the good things and the pure things, as we looked at the other day. The things that are praiseworthy, the things that are of good report. Not the bad reports. But it says that we do live in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation. But it says in which we shine as lights in the world. You know, one other day I talked about "This Little Light of Mine," the little kid song that we always sang. And it just really has been in my thoughts. I keep humming it. But the first verse is, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." But then there's a verse that says, "Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine." Are you going to let your light shine? Or are you going to hide it? Depending on maybe who you're around. Maybe you don't want your friends to know, or your coworkers to know, that you're to be the light of Jesus. So I want to challenge you today to let your light shine so that all men can see. We do live in a crooked and evil world, and you can see that as you do any social media. There's so much hatred and so much evil going on. Everybody's out for themselves, or a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are out for themselves. But God still calls us to be a light in the darkness. We're to shine our lights, not hide our lights. It takes bravery. It takes courage. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, it's just those wimpy people that are Christians and are godly people." I disagree with that statement. It's difficult to stand out in a crowd and say, "Nope, that's not who I am. I'm not somebody who goes around with foulness and curse words coming out of my mouth. I'm not one who's going to drink and drink until I really don't care. I'm not one who's going to use drugs or be addicted to something, a substance." That's the old me, and that person died. It says, "Behold, all things have become new." The new me is living for Jesus, letting my light shine, not hiding it under a bushel. We need to let our light shine before men so that they can see there's something about us that's different. that we would have peace and joy in the midst of trial, that they would want what we have. You know, it breaks my heart. I can't even imagine what Jesus feels like to know that he went to the cross and there are still people choosing not to follow him. And they will choose, they have chosen their eternity if they don't change. There is a heaven to gain. And it's a wonderful place. It's filled with glory and grace, where I'm going to see my Savior's face. But there's a hell to shun. And hell is not a nice place. I was told one time, well, as long as there's beer and my friends there, I'm okay. There's not going to be. There's going to be misery. It says the weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's an eternal place of torment where I don't want anybody to go. Won't you turn to Jesus today? Come to him. If you do know him, strengthen your faith and let your light shine today. We need the light of Jesus in this dark world, and we are his lights. So shine your light today for Jesus. Let people know that you're not ashamed of him. He says, if you're ashamed of me before men, I'll be ashamed of you before my Father. I don't want Jesus to be ashamed of me. How about you? Have a blessed day today.